to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a 2-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
Business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
Live from the Center Right Radio studios in Tempe, Arizona, the Chips and Salsa Show. Conservative conversation, picoso, not mocoso, with Don Jorge Ortiz and Alicia Lara. George, former California Democrat union man turned legislative GOP chairman.
And Alice, former New Mexico Democrat turned legislative GOP district state committee woman.
Together, they are your Chips and Salsa Show hosts.
Get your guac on now with George Ortiz and Alice Lara.
politics, we do pop culture, we're going to do a little bit something different in the first part of our show today. We bring on Janet Contreras, an author and a former candidate, and we'll talk to her in just a few minutes. But I'm going to take care of some business right now before we get our guac on totally. I want to welcome you, Chipsters. Thank you very much. If you're watching us on Facebook, I would love if you would please share the show. And you can go to Center Right Radio and watch us, or hopefully the Chips and Salsa Show site. I don't have that on. I'm having kind of a difficult thing with my phone, so forgive me. You need to probably just go to Center Right Radio for the meantime. And you can also go, if you can't listen on Facebook and you've got to leave or something, you can go to centerright.live. So that's centerright.live. Okay, and I'm going to try to just be a little patient here. I'm going to switch microphones. All right. Now I'm going to talk like this. Okay, that's not awkward at all. Yeah, okay. You guys that are watching me. Okay, so we're on Periscope. I'm going to put some pictures up on Instagram. We're trying to get all of there. I want to give kudos to our executive producer. That's Brandon Jones, yippity-doo-dah, our technical director who's taking care of things. And that's Julian Allison. Yeah, baby, he's here. And also our producer is Sonia Siegert, who usually takes care of our cocotazos and whole enchiladas. And my nephew, David Beasley, does our music. And the logo, that beautiful logo you see with all of us in the molcajete and the salsa bowl, so to speak, that's my great niece, Monica Lara. She does art, so check her out on Facebook. And you can check out her beautiful kind of cartoon, wonderful animated art. Next week, too, I want to tell you, we're going to have Tim Horn in studio, and that's going to be with George. George is going to go solo because I've got to go out of town. I'm going to go to a wedding. My nephew Brad Beasley's going to get married. Woohoo! Very nice. And that's going to be a big, giant, beautiful wedding. I also want to give some kudos to, or I should say, wish a happy birthday to George. George's birthday is tomorrow. And he's still a young snacker. How do you like that? Yeah, he's a snacker too, but a whippersnapper. And my friend, also Don Rawlings, who, if you are on my Facebook site at all, or on our Chips and Salsa site for that matter too, you might see someone who's not conservative, but he likes to voice his opinion, and that's my good friend all the way from high school and college, Don Rawlings. I love him very much. And tomorrow is his birthday as well. So happy birthday, Don Rawlings. And another good friend's birthday celebrating today is Mike Anthony Serbo. And he actually is Anthony Serbo, but I know him from Mike Anthony from my KFYI days. So I wanted to wish him a happy birthday as well. Okay, got a few announcements. I want to get all of this stuff out of the way. That way we can give our complete attention to Janet Contreras, the author. But I want to tell you that the show before ours, that's Ron Harder's, and he does the Expat Chi-Town show, and he had a special guest on, Sam Stone, and he gave you an update about 4 lanes, no train. So I encourage you to watch that show. There's a lot going on in South Phoenix. They're trying to force Central to only become 1 lane of traffic each way with a big train going down the middle, and we're very concerned about that. There's a lot of stuff going on. Celia Contreras, we interviewed her a couple of weekends ago, and just go to that Facebook page and you can be up to date. That's 4 lanes, the number 4 lanes, no trains, and you can stay up to date with things on that as well. We also want to invite you, my Central Republican Women of Phoenix, we're going to go dark in July. We don't have our regular monthly meeting, but what we are going to do is have a mixer and have candidates. In fact, Moses Sanchez, who's running for the mayor of Phoenix, he will be there, so you can come and meet and greet with him, as well as Dr. Kelly Ward, who is running for the U.S. Senate. And those 2 are confirmed, and there's many more that are coming. It's going to be very informal. Just show up. It's going to be at the, let me see, I got the information here, and that's going to be at Half Moon Windy City Sports Grills, Colangelo Room, 2121 East Highland Avenue in Phoenix. We're going to be there 5 to 7. If you want to get there a little earlier, that's fine. I'm probably going to be a little earlier. Or if you get there late, I think we're going to be hanging around for a while. The main thing is a great opportunity. It's Friday, July 13th, but it's a great opportunity to come and meet some of your candidates. Okay, good. I think I have everything out of the way. Lots of headlines we're going to talk about. We're going to first talk to our good friend Janet Contreras, and then later we have live in studio Jeff Prather with The Prather Point. If you listen to our show regularly, he's our secret agent man that comes on each week, and he kind of has a really interesting pulse, as he was a fast and furious whistleblower on the dark state. So you're not going to want to miss that. I'm going to ask Janet if she wants to hang out with us for that too as well. Okay, so I want to introduce to you a very good friend of mine, Janet Contreras. Welcome, Janet.
Thank you so much for having me, Alice. It's wonderful to be here.
We're so happy to have you, and I want to give the audience just a little tiny background. I met Janet back a long time ago when she was running for Congress in our South Mountain District, which at that time was Congressman Ed Pastor, who was very entrenched there. And just for those of you who used to watch the Glenn Beck show when he had a TV show and a radio show at the same time, you might remember a very famous letter that was written. And it was, the theme of it was about, we're tired of it. We, the people, are coming. It was so eloquent. It was a fantastic letter and so good that Glenn Beck himself invited Janet Contreras, the author of that letter, to be on his show. And from that, we found out, oh my gosh, she's living in our district. She's got to run for office. So she did, and unfortunately, we didn't win, but it was a hell of a try, and we made some great friendships and an impact. So all is not, it wasn't for anything. I can say that. It was not for anything.
Regrets.
Good, good. And you're not running for office now.
No, I am not. I know that I came onto the scene as a political kind of person, but over the last 8 years, I have kind of begun to reflect on the same way I wanted government to wake up and realize that they were doing wrong. Now I'm really more concerned with people, and I want people to wake up and realize they may be doing wrong and that they need to get on the right side of God. And the best way that God was introduced into my life was through my grandmother. And my grandmother used to tell us the most wonderful Bible stories. She would give the characters wit and spirit and personality, and it made the stories so interesting. And you can read the same story of Cain and Abel. She didn't change the facts of the stories, but she made them so much more compelling and interesting for teenagers. We were teenagers at the time to listen to. You could read about Cain and Abel in the Bible, and you'll go through it. It's a couple of paragraphs, and then it's on to the next thing. But she would make this a whole, like, pages and pages, several chapters of story, and talk about the brothers, talk about, it's very easy for us to be angry with Cain and think he was just a terrible person, but we forget he was Adam and Eve's firstborn son. And they grieved over the loss of him. When he was banned, that hurt. Not only did he murder their baby boy, but then he was banished. God banished him. So they lost 2 sons. So we don't think about these things when we read those couple of paragraphs in the Bible. We don't get that impact, but my grandmother gave it to us.
You are so right. And when you told me about this, I thought, wow, this is what a great way to bring people's interest back and back to the Bible, which we so badly need in our culture. We need God. And I want to let you know, too, if you're watching, she brought in these beautiful, wonderful T-shirts, Royal Birthright series, and Live Right, Teach Christ, Love People. So as I told you before, we do politics on this show, but we've had Jesse Romero on. We're believers, and this is a really important book. I'd like to, if it's okay, Jen, I'm going to just take a little bit from your website and say the inspiration behind your books.
RoyalBirthright.com.
Yeah, RoyalBirthright.com is the website, and it's the name of the book is Royal Birthright Lost, right? That's
the first book.
The
yes.
first book, okay. And I'm just going to read you a little paragraph. Inspiration behind the books. Man was created to be the royal family of God, but his royal birthright was lost because of his sin. The Royal Birthright book series walks us through how God takes man full circle back to the original birthright intended at the time of creation. And what I was telling Janet too, oh my gosh, it's already 30 seconds to wrap up. What I was telling Janet is I forgot what an eloquent and wonderful writer she is, because she wrote this on the on the website page. Okay, I've got to wrap it up already for the first segment. Don't worry, we're going to bring her right back. I'm Alice Lara, here with Janet Contreras, author of Royal Birthright Lost, and you're listening to the Chips and Salsa Show here on Center Right Radio, right here for you. Don't go away, because we've got more of the Chips and Salsa Show coming right at you. Welcome.
Olivia, from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel, from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna, from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha, from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14.
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
And we are back with the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara. Noticeably absent today is Don Jorge, my partner in crime, George Ortiz. But don't worry, because he'll be back next week with Tim Horn, who's going to talk about no on that National Popular Vote Initiative, why it's a bad idea. And a reminder, if you'd like to join us right after the show, probably like 5:15ish, 5:30, we're all going to walk over and have some dinner, drinks, whatever, at the Watershed. And that's the Watershed in Tempe. And so we'd love to have you. Janet Contreras is going to join us, as well as Ron Harders from the show before. And then also our guest that we're going to bring in here in a little bit, Jeff Prather with the Prather Point. So I hope that you'll think about coming out. We'd love to meet you and talk to you. So we're going to finish up with Janet here. Janet, we're so happy to have you. And again, she is author of Royal Birthright Lost. And you wanted to give out some information to our audience, so I'm just going to throw the mic to you.
Okay, so when I wrote the books, I wrote them under a pen name. The pen name is Safar Shamuel. Safar means scribe or writer, and Shamuel means
who. I'm sorry, I'm distracting.
Who seeks God. Yeah, I'm sorry, me too. So Safar Shamuel is the scribe who seeks God, and that's the pen name that the books are written under. So if you will go to www.royalbirthright.com, the first 100 pre-orders of the book, which will actually be available in about a month, they're discounted 25% right now. But the first 100 orders, I will also include a shirt, a bookmark, and I will sign the book. So if you go and order the book at the 25% discount now, to go into the special instructions in the cart and leave the name you want the book signed to and the size of the shirt you would like. It'll be a short sleeve shirt. And
beautiful
it'll
shirt.
Make great Christmas gifts the bookmark, and the shirt. So keep that in mind. I'm going to do that for the first 100 orders.
And I would highly encourage you, like I say, Janet is a great writer, and this is a great shirt. Live right, teach Christ, love people. I mean, what a great message.
I get a lot of people comment on it at wherever I wear it.
And they can also find you on Facebook under the pen name?
Absolutely. Right. Safar Shamuel.
Go ahead and spell that out, too.
It's Safar, S-E-P-H-A-R, Shamuel, C-H-A-M-U-E-L.
Awesome. And, you know, I would say also, maybe if you aren't a Christian, go ahead and read the book. Because I think that you'll, like I say, her writing is so good, you'll be interested. And if you read it, I'm sure she'd like to hear your opinion of it, too. And what a great deal that you're offering to our listeners, our viewers, I should say, because you can actually watch us, too. All right, before we switch to Jeff, and we're going to have Janet stay with us, because, you know, you had quite an experience in the political world, and you kind of just left that all behind. So if you have anything to add, do you even keep up with what's going on?
I try to, but I'm far more concerned about the kingdom of God than I am about the United States government at this point.
Well, and after all, you know, without him. You're right. Well, thank you so much. So hang tight with us here, Janet. If you have something to, to weigh in on, please feel free to.
Thank you.
Now we're going to do something really awkward because we found out, Jeff, that your mic is not working. So we're going to give Janet's mic to you. We'll switcheroo. So I don't know if you want to play musical chairs, if that's easier.
Probably.
You can do that. All right. Okay, and do that.
Part
okay,
of a government
great.
plot.
Da, 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 da,
We will not allow him to be silenced.
Yeah.
Let him keep trying.
Thanks. That's right. That's
Take
right.
another shot. You'll have to try again.
I think they're still watching you, Jeff. I don't know about that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to our show each week, we have the distinct privilege of offering to you the Prather Point, and that's with our Fast and Furious whistleblower, Jeff Prather, who is actually based out of Tucson. And we're so happy to have you in studio finally. And we asked him to come down. We don't have enough of an opportunity to actually learn about him. He's got a fascinating background. And that's why I say, if you want to come by the Watershed and meet him, you really need to, because he's got a great story, and he still has this pulse on the deep state, or I like to call it the dark state, too, because he still has friends and people that are in there. So welcome to the show officially, Jeff Prather. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Nice to be back. Yes, it's jeffreyprather.com is where all the Prather Point posts are.
Fantastic. And then your Facebook page is also.
Facebook page, yep. warriorschool.com, bujinkanusa.com, yep, all those.
Great. Oh, and then I'm going to show off these neat little cups that you brought in. These are really cool. How do you say that? Bujinkan?
Bujinkan.
Oh, I almost said it right.
Very good.
Very good. Okay, so what I want to do, because a lot of the audience doesn't know your story, I want you to give us, in a few minutes, it's just an amazing story. But if anybody can do it, I know that you can, sir. So just have at the mic.
Well, you know, the news right now is dominated by leaks from the government, from phony investigations, from biased federal agents. And, you know, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about me. Pretty much what is being done to President Trump was done to me about a decade ago. And so my background was I was a military intelligence officer. I'm retired military. Spent most of my time in special operations and special forces. Then I became a DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, special agent and special operator and firearms instructor. And then I also stayed in the reserves and was recruited into the Defense Intelligence Agency. So, and this goes back before the Obama administration into the Bush administration, but I was basically extraditing the first Sinaloan cartel leader, which that was a game changer. I was a big hero in the DEA at that time. But as I fought to get this extradition through, I started finding that the biggest obstacles were the government. First, it was the DOJ attorneys, and then they became, in tandem, Karen Tandy and Michelle Leonhardt became the DEA administrators. And they basically just stopped my case. I got called to active duty. I was running an intelligence shop at the Pentagon, and I got a call to come over to DEA headquarters, which is right across the street. And I had an informant. That's another thing that's in the news right now. An informant that was going to sue the head administrator for $5 million. And they had left him out in the cold. They had fronted him without getting into all the details to the Mexican government, which was a death sentence. And I said, no, you can't sue for this. But by the way, I stupidly said, but the head of the DEA, Tandy and then Leonard, destroyed my case. They really were protecting the Sinaloa cartel. Well,
Wow.
I didn't think anything about that. And after that, they started investigating me. And I didn't figure this out all at once. But later on, you know, I spent 10 years on the border of Nogales. I know the people who brought the body of Brian Terry out. And I don't know whether you know this, but Fast and Furious started right here in Phoenix at DEA, not
Unfortunately,
at
I
ATF.
know that. Yeah.
And I was the liaison at ATF. But anyway, what I came to discover was that the Obama administration, the Fast and Furious emails go right to the White House. And Obama invoked executive privilege on those emails. So that was a covert international gun running operation. But the guns were going to the Sinaloa cartel. So when I accused the head of DEA of protecting the cartel, that's when they targeted me. However,
how dare you expose the truth?
Right, and this is the same thing you're seeing with Trump, exposing the swamp and trying to drain the swamp. And the things that are in the swamp don't want the swamp drained. However, in the Niebla Zambada trial, and you can look up everything I say, because you're not going to hear it on the mainstream media, but if Niebla Zambada trial, DEA agents raised their hands and said, yes, we did have a deal with the Sinaloa cartel. That's federal testimony. And that was the same period that they were investigating me. So then when I went to protest my firing after I was 19 years, I had 19 years on a job, never a bad evaluation.
With a great record.
Yeah, I was a hero until I was a zero, we say. And then the document, the response document, was leaked as a court document, which it is not a court document. I've never been charged with a crime, much less ever convicted of a crime, never even charged. But that's what they leaked out there to destroy the message that I was putting out there. And I was putting out that the DOJ and the DEA, and I actually had I'm a Christian chaplain, founder of Christ Connection Chaplaincy. I had an EEO lawsuit against Eric Holder that got subsumed because they hired an investigator. DOJ hired an investigator to investigate my claim. Well, he was paid by them, so guess what he found? He found that they did nothing wrong. It didn't go to the IG. So when I look now at phony investigations, phony documents, biased investigators, my Peter Stroke was a guy named Donald McMillan. He was OPR, which that's what we call Officer of Professional Responsibility, what you guys call from TV is internal affairs.
Okay.
But there's no one checking on those guys. So, you know, over the years, you've heard me on different shows, and people always ask me, well, how do you know what's going to happen? How do you predict? Because they already did it to me. Fast and Furious was an international covert gun running operation. Benghazi, and I know Ty Wood's wife, and when I was at DIA, I worked with CIA Special Activities Division very well. So that was another covert international.
That was Fast and Furious Libya.
Yeah, that was Fast, exactly. And then it was Fast and Furious Syria. And now the reason why the left has to keep doing all this stuff, and now they're resorting to, you know, Robert De Niro saying profanities
Trump,
and people just advocating outright violence, is because if they don't, and I said this for years, and you'll remember me saying this.
That's your common theme.
If they don't, then we will keep tripping over all of their criminal activities, and they will all get indicted. And that's what you're starting to see now. And you're starting to see, and the first one to go is Comey, because everybody, the Dems are ticked at Comey, and the Republicans are both ticked at Comey. And what you always see with socialist, communist, collectivist, whatever variant you think they are, is they have this righteous belief system. They've replaced Judeo-Christian native belief.
Yeah, they think they're God.
Yeah, they do. And so it doesn't matter what the facts are. So that's the title of Comey's book, is Higher Authority. Well, who's the higher authority? Well, he is.
Yeah,
because
not God.
Not God, no. So you're starting to see that collapse, although you're still seeing a lot of protectionism. And you're not seeing, unfortunately, and I spent my whole career under the executive branch, either in the military, federal law enforcement, or intelligence. Those are all under the executive branch. And by the way, Commander-in-Chief can fire anybody under the executive branch anytime he wants for anything or nothing. It's not an appointed position, and Comey should have been fired immediately anyway. I've taken 1 million cases, not 1 million, but hundreds of cases from the Border Patrol in the middle of the night, and I'd have to call up Page back in the days of Motorola brick phones and Page, and call the duty attorney and then give him the facts and let the duty assistant United States attorney decide if he wanted to go on that, and then call the Border Patrol back. So when Comey goes, well, we're not going to present the case, any junior G-man, and I graduated from the FBI Academy in 1990, any junior G-man knows that's a violation of policy.
It certainly is. And all that took, I mean, we already got to go to our next segment, but that's just to give you a little highlight. Now you know Jeff's story, and it's an amazing one. But you're going to hear more. Don't go away. We've got lots more to talk about here on the Chips and Salsa Show with Jeff Prather, with The Prather Point, and also Janet Contreras, author. So stay with us to walk on some more here on the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara. Don't go away.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
And we're back with the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara. Absent is George Ortiz. Don't worry. He'll be here next week, or if you want to come have dinner with us, you'll see him later. He's bringing his beautiful wife. And our producer also, Sonia Siegert, will be there. Right now we have with us, we're so thrilled to have Jeff Prather of The Prather Point with us. And if you listened to the last segment, he gave you his story. You did such a wonderful job, because really, that's like a whole book. Did you ever write a book? You need to write a book about your story.
Got a couple books, but I haven't written that one yet.
Yeah.
But my books are on Amazon.
Oh, it's
but
just
I might.
Awesome. So now you wanted to come back, and then you wanted to tie everything that happened to you into what's going on now and the big swamp we have out there.
So the theme there was that the Obama administration was in love with covert operations. And the reason is because socialists, communists, collectivists, whatever variant you want to call them of tyranny, they can't just say, hey, we're going to take over. they have to run covert operations. And so Obama emplaced in his own people about 200, 250 field grade officers, like I was major to general, but the same thing in federal law enforcement, the same thing in the intelligence community. I know because I know all these guys. I know that they went after all of them at the same time. We know the night of Benghazi that General Ham resigned, AFRICOM. We know that Admiral Gayet, the highest ranking in theater officer in the military, was relieved. And I've heard secondhand from other CIA SAD guys that they were denied to go in. The deputy chief of station said he was right there with the special forces colonel that was denied permission. That chain of command is the commander in chief. And now I've heard that it was Valerie Jarrett, making those decisions. And I've been in the White House Situation Room. I mean, my job took me to that. But the point is that under the Obama administration, all those executive branches were filled with left-wingers, and they thought they had to fix in. That's the Stroke texts. Hey, it won't happen, but this is insurance. And of course, through divine providence, I think, we didn't get Hillary. Yes. All their machinations failed. Agreed. And we got Trump. And Trump is, the great thing about him is he's already got money. So there's a section at the inauguration where all the donors sit, and his section was the smallest ever. And by the way,
he doesn't need them.
No, he doesn't need them. Right. Yeah, where most of these guys get bought off. So they were in love with all these covert operations, and the biggest covert operation is this whole thing against Trump. There is no evidence, there is not one conviction of any collusion or obstruction. And by the way, collusion is not a term in federal law enforcement. It's conspiracy. The only collusion and obstruction going on is with the FBI. They're doing whatever and I've learned that the hard way, and we've talked about that before, is whatever they're accusing you of, they're doing. And so that's what's going on now, and America's catching on to that. And, the other thing is that Trump is a genius, is that he has made the White House reporter pool, and I've been in that room too, irrelevant. He just goes around them and tweets. And then he tweets out something wild, and what I call that is he throws the ball and the press chases.
They got to go chase it.
They go chase something ridiculous. And meanwhile, he is reducing taxes, or he is meeting with the North Korean leader. And he just throws the ball and they chase it every time. It works great. They just keep falling for it.
Getting things done. Okay, so the question, and we were talking about this during the break, we are hopeful that justice will be served. So how confident are you of that we can actually get some of these guys?
Well, I'm not very confident, having been on the inside and seeing how, and now that I know a lot of other whistleblowers, Vince Cefalu, who was an ATF agent, he was fired 3 times and finally got back. John Dotson's the only one who has never gotten fired, even though he put out a book. But it starts to look like Comey has been abandoned by both parties, the rhinos and the Dems. And he certainly leaked information. He leaked classified information, and he took things on authority. And I don't know if you were watching the IG grilling by Congress, but what basically came out of there is there's a couple more IG investigations going on. And I'm pretty sure one of those is of Comey. But it's funny, everybody wants to say, well, the FBI is still great, they're still competent. Well, they couldn't even get all the texts out of the phone. The IG had to get those texts out of there. So they're not that competent. They've become, another thing you've heard me say is the DOJ has become the KGB. And that's why you see an FBI agent doing a backflip on a dance floor, and then his gun falls out and he shoots another dancer. Or a DEA agent gets drunk, strips naked, and poops in the hallway in Rotterdam. They're not professional anymore. They're political. And that's what you see. You see this crazy behavior. And I don't think the American people buy it anymore. I don't think anybody is buying it. I just think there's reality. I run into this all the time. the things that DOJ has leaked and said about me on the internet, and then people who know me just laugh at that. And everywhere I go, I get great support. And I think that's the same thing happening with Trump now.
Absolutely.
So I think it's changing, and it's not Trump. And again, the left is thinking it's Trump. It is the American people. It's the Tea Party. It's the grassroots movement. Trump is the representative of that, but it's not him.
And I think it's a fact that now we have the internet and we have social media, so it's hard. You can't just cover things up. It's not as easy to do that. Do you think, I have two things and I don't want to forget, but my husband always talks about we need whistleblower laws because a lot of people can't come forward, but that probably will never happen because that would mess them up. And do you also think, I think, are there still enough good guys left within the system to keep it going? Should we be able to take some of them out? I mean, what's your hope for the future?
Well, the Obama DOJ took the whistleblower sections off of their website. There are still ways you can report. However, and I had to learn this the hard way, but once I learned it, is they're always hung out to dry. They're never supported, and it's tough, and it affects health. And now, I mean, a decade later, everybody's like, oh, of course, Eric Holder was lying. But back then, it's real hard, and I don't know that laws are going to change that because people in power, the government, will always protect themselves first. And I think Trump is working to change that. And he's backing the American people, but that's going to happen slowly. And the second part of your question is, are we going to get better law enforcement and military back? Having served in the military, law enforcement, intelligence, by far, my time in the military, I appreciated the most. And that is the least corrupt, the most noble, the hardest working, because there's a nobility to it in particular. Intelligence, okay. Law enforcement is the worst, the most corrupt. And it's going to take getting rid of those top two layers again to go back. But, FBI corruption is nothing new. I was at the FBI Academy going through firearms school when Waco happened. And there was probably 30 guys in my class. And from my native training and heritage, I was the only one saying, I don't know what's going on, but I know those 80-some women and children should not be being burned alive like Native women and children were. But you know what happened after that? The crime scene, the FBI bulldozed all of that into the crime scene. They destroyed all the evidence. And so there's nothing new with this political bias, but now it is really turned on the American people in general, not just a Waco cult or Native peoples, or now it's against everybody, and people aren't putting up with it anymore. So yeah, I do remain hopeful. I think it is changing, just like I didn't think without prayer Trump could have, without prayer Trump would have not gotten elected. So that's divine providence. So it is, but we all have to work at it. We have to keep speaking out, like you're doing. And the great thing about this show is you're not beholden to anybody.
No, we're not. That's true.
And I think a lot of the big shows are and get cut off. I've talked to people about that. So I think that it's coming along.
Oh, that's good. We were also talking over the break is the reason I even know about Jeff is I used to listen to him on the James T. Harris show when he was based in Tucson. And when I started listening, I'm like, wow, what is he talking about? Oh my gosh. And then, because I'm a political junkie and a news junkie, things that he would say and talk about a few weeks later, a month later, they would happen. He knew what he was talking about. So when he was no longer on the show, that's when we thought, you know what? I said, just do a segment every week for us, and a little segment. At least you can keep us up to date, because there's people need to know about you and follow you. You always have so much information, and even if you didn't have the information, you can see where things are going because you do have that special pulse. And the military background too, just want to take a minute here, because what we do is, every week we try to do a military moment, and we have a military guy or gal come in, and we give them kudos for doing that, and we thank them for the service, and we want to thank you for your service. We've gone far beyond the call of duty for sure, but take a minute. I think we have a couple minutes, don't we, Julian? And tell us about your military. We had about 3 minutes, so give us some of your military background and what you think about the military, yay or nay, to encourage people.
I think it's still a great place to go. I think it's the best part of the federal government. I started off as a second lieutenant in Special Operations Command in PSYOPs, and then I went over to 7th Special Forces, which took me all through Central and South America, and that's how I got recruited to DEA. I was at Panama right before the invasion, and there was a team training some snowcap special operators, and that's how I got recruited in there. And that kind of ties in right now to the border situation. Is we no longer have the military foreign internal defense, it's called in Special Forces, is when you're training local military in Central and South America, and then the snowcappers, it's now FAST in Afghanistan, but snowcappers was stopping the cocaine coming up.
I get it. Snowcappers, it just occurred to me.
Peru, Bolivia, and then transited up through Nogales, where I spent 10 years. So in that vacuum, the cartels came in, and a lot of former communist and terrorist organizations like Sendero Luminoso and FARC all started to create more trade, and then the Obama administration actually encouraged kids to come up. So now, one of the things I said on James's show was that all those corridors are now controlled by the cartels. So when those kids come up unaccompanied, those kids are being raped, abused, and worse on the way up. And when he finally understood what I was telling him, that was happening in the United States, he was actually crying. And that's come out in reports too. You can look that up too. But there's also an even worse thing now is they're taking a lot of these kids and using them as the polleros or the guias, the scouts for the others, because you have to handle juveniles differently in the system. And so they get up here in the system, they are treated with kid gloves, and they also say, oh, well, this is my mom and dad. You know,
innocent.
Yeah, and they don't know. Some campesino in a Guatemalan village, or Bolivian village, like Guayamarin on the border of Bolivia and Brazil, last place I got ambushed, is they're not going to know where their relatives are in a first world Chicago or Detroit city. And a lot of times they weren't released to relatives. They went into terrible things. So they're being used terribly, and they are also using others at a younger age. And so it's a great tragedy.
Does the word exploitation mean anything, doesn't it? Oh, man. Well, you have such a great insight to that, and then at the border, and you also speak Spanish, so you know what they're saying when they're doing stuff out there. Okay, we still have one more segment left, so we're going to come back and talk about things that happen in the news and all those issues. There's plenty of stuff going on in that respect, and our headlines. So please don't go away, because as you can see, this is a Fast and Furious Chips and Salsa show, because we have all kinds to talk about. We're talking with our good friend Jeff Prather, who does a Prather Point here weekly. He does have his pulse, his political pulse on the dark state, the deep state. And so don't go away. We have more of the Chips and Salsa show here on Center Right Radio. I'm Alice Lara, and Center Right Radio right here for you.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Turn off the fake news and turn on Center Right Radio. Online now at centerright.live.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14...
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework.
I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
You're listening to America's favorite political discussion on Center Right Radio.
We're back with the Chips and Salsa Show. This is the last segment, so if you've missed this show, you really need to go back and watch it from the beginning. And you can do that by going to centerright.live. Don't worry about the WWs, just centerright.live, or go to the Facebook page. And I apologize if I haven't been able to put it up on our Chips and Salsa page, but you can go to Center Right Radio and watch it because there is so much information with our fantastic guest, Jeff Prather, and it goes by Jeffrey Prather with the Prather Point. And during the show, you know, I was asking him, Jeff was in the military and he knows martial arts and he's very, very adept and he teaches firearms instructions. Don't you teach?
I do.
Actually, right, yeah. So, because I think, man, you know, I worry about you, but he says not to worry, right?
No, you don't need to worry. WarriorsCode.com is my tactical. In fact, I used to have a lot of government contracts. My biggest military class was 600 soldiers every day for 2 weeks. My last big class was 250 soldiers in Hawaii. That was a really nice gig. But I've trained probably 20,000 U.S. military and intelligence personnel, usually in 5-day courses, and that's WarriorsCode.com. And I don't know, I've trained thousands in the Bujinkan. That's Bujinkan.com as well. Yeah, nobody, there's lots of trolls on the internet talking, but nobody shows up. So.
Yeah, I like that. Nobody shows up. Okay, so during the break too, because we just have this one last segment, and please, as I told you before, if there's something that you think, oh, we got to talk about this, just go ahead and interrupt me and do that. And before we do that, I just want to remind people, if you'd like to come down and meet Jeff and the crew and everybody else, come on down to the Watershed here in Tempe. It'll take us a few minutes to walk over there, so we'll probably be there like 5:15, 5:30. Ron Harders is already there with his wife and some friends, and just we can hang out and talk some more about that. We had a big week, and also I want to just say rest in peace, Charles Krauthammer. What a great, brilliant mind. We're going to miss him severely. But this week, what was in the news, of course, was the big story about the Trump taking action on the child separation down at the border. And there was, I don't know if anybody saw, but there was also a speech Trump did, and he invited people who had permanent separation from their children, and those were people, illegal aliens, had actually, there were murders that had occurred by them. But you wanted to talk about also FISA and how that's failed.
Well, yeah. And by the way, the kid, you know, the kid that was in the cage, the left put him in the cage, that kid. And they
don't do anything wrong.
Whatever they're accusing you of, they're doing. I have learned that for sure. Well, the FISA, I can't talk in detail about that, but I can say because I had a top secret clearance with DOJ and a top secret clearance with DIA, I can say that there is an unholy alliance between law enforcement, federal law enforcement, and the intelligence community, and you're going to start to see that come out because the FISA court almost never. I think I've turned down 1 or 2 warrants ever. And you saw this with Eric Holder when Eric Holder wanted to read the emails of Rosen at Fox, And he said, well, yeah, he's a criminal conspirator. And then he said, well, I didn't mean that. Well, we call that perjury. And if I had done that, I would be in jail.
Yeah.
But, he's gotten away with that. And, we've seen that over and over with that. And that FISA court is going to have to be pulled back. And I just think we're going to continue to see that as the Tea Party movement, the grassroots movement, creates more guys like Trump. And again, the left is making this mistake that it's Trump. It's not Trump. It's us taking back our country. And through our Judeo-Christian native values, through divine providence. And I think that's what's really going to happen. The FISA court, it's starting to look like these were warrants against Flynn and other people, and there's no reason for foreign counterintelligence warrants in that area. Those are supposed to be extreme. There's lots of abuses like that, where they're just they're using extraordinary powers that they should not be using for their own gains. And that's going to change, I think.
And they get away with it. And you're so right. We do have to remember, because that's what our country was based on. We, the people. And Janet Contreras, our guest earlier, that was her letter. That was the whole theme. And, we forget that. We've got this great history, and we can still use it until we let them take it away. And we can't let that happen, because if that happens, well, we're not going to have a country at all. This is still the freest, greatest country. We're not perfect. And like I always used to say, because I was telling Jeff that I used to live in El Paso, along the border, and what we always talked about there is, Mexico is very corrupt, but the people knew that, so they knew they had to give them mordida and do whatever to survive. And through the years, when you see the United States kind of going that direction, it was very frightening, because it was always out in the open in Mexico, and here it's still trying to be covered up. So I'm hoping that the sunlight is actually coming through on this.
Mordida, the little bite, that is gotten really bad in America, and I think it is going to start to improve, because we are starting to take back our government. You asked me if I'm afraid. There's just guys like me, and there's lots of guys who are ex-military, and all the Benghazi guys. They just aren't going to be intimidated. They've already seen too much. It's just like when Obama closed the World War II monument to the old World War II vets, and they went, right. We stormed Normandy. We're not really scared of it.
We're not afraid of you.
And they took the railings and took them over to the White House and threw them over the fence. You're just not going to intimidate Americans like that.
Jeff, I think what you do is so important, especially because you're involved with the martial arts and you teach firearms. One of the things that I get concerned about is our poor guys. They can't be men anymore. It's really difficult. A lot of them don't have dads and don't have fathers around to do that. I was very fortunate. My dad was around, and we had 3 boys and 3 girls. And the masculinity sometimes is just threatened. And you need to know and have guidance from another man and how to be a man. So what you do is even more important than people can even understand.
I've mentored a lot of kids, boys and girls, in the dojo as a father figure. I'm adopted, as you know, out of St. Joseph's Orphanage, product of rape. My book on Amazon, Initiation, Boys Are Born, Men Are Trained, is all about that. And that is very important. Masculinity is very under attack today. And that's really the Judeo-Christian piece are pretty obvious, but the native piece is how traditional cultures like the Apache used to train their kids for adulthood to be fathers, mothers, good men and women.
Absolutely.
We've really lost that a lot. That is the most important thing.
Yeah, and I can't believe it. We're at the end of the show. Come to the Watershed and meet Jeff. Jeff Prather, thank you so much for coming in today. It was a great show. We hope you come back again. Continue to listen to the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara. George will be back next week. Have a wonderful weekend, and listen to Center Right Radio.